Hello everyone, this is Jake from Fife Paranormal, and I just wanted to show off my new camera. Now, I got this one from an antique store a few weeks ago, and it's pretty cool. It's an 8mm Bell & Howell Canon/Canon 8. This came out in the fall of 1963, and it's actually a Japanese model. And no, it is not a digital camera, it's actually an 8mm camera. And as you can see, it's very different from what we usually shoot with here, but there's just so much history going back with this camera, and I really cannot wait to use it. Now, I do have film currently inside the camera. It was a pain in the butt learning how to load it, but glad I did it. I got this Cine 8 black and white reversal from the Film Photography Project, and they're really cool people. And mainly I'm going to use this 8mm camera for our documentary projects. And the way that this is going to work is mainly for establishing shots, some atmospheric stuff. It's not going to be widely used because film is very expensive. And this is a double 8 roll, which basically means it's 8mm, and you usually get, let's see, this is a 25-foot roll camera. It only supports 25 feet of film. And you typically get between, I don't know, 2.5 minutes per roll. And since this is a double, what happens is you shoot one side of the roll and you actually flip it. And then you can shoot the other side. And when you send it off for processing and then it comes back, it actually comes back as 16mm, which is going to be really cool. So basically it kind of doubles what you would usually be able to shoot. And so I'm probably going to use it, let's see, I'm testing out with it. I've only shot maybe about 3 or 4 seconds worth of film because, like I said, you only get a few minutes per side. So this roll here is a test batch, and I actually have another test batch that I'm looking into getting just as like a cheaper alternative just to see how it'll look. But I do plan, when we use these for our documentary projects, I do plan for it to be in color. The black and white simply because, you know, I always like the black and white look with physical film, especially 8mm. Just something really cool about the actual film grain of it and all of that stuff, and I just wanted to see how it would look. So I'm really excited to use this camera. It's not something that you usually think about. You know, I have my Nikon DSLR, my D50 600, which is what I'm shooting this video on right now, and typically I would look to get some new equipment for this, some add-ons, maybe some better lighting, which I can get that stuff. It's just, there's something about physical film, 8mm, that I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. It's one of those things, when you see it, you know you're watching physical film, and you can get more attached to it simply because, you know, there's more hands-on operating with it than it is digital. You know, digital, you shoot it, press the shutter, press the record button, then you take out the SD card, put it into the computer, and that's kind of it. You're done with that. But with this, you know, there's a lot of care. You have to, you know, learn how to load it in low light, which, trust me, was not fun. And it's just, there's more of a connection to it, and I always like that, especially, you know, I do like some older stuff. I mean, I've got turntables, I've got a few different antiques, and one thing that's really cool about this is it's going to be really tough to see, but it actually shoots at 3 different frame rates. It shoots at 12 frames per second, 16 frames per second, and then 24. Now, it's very interesting. Typically, 24 frames per second is what all of our stuff is filmed at. You know, that's kind of the industry standard for this stuff. But on this kind of camera, 24 frames per second is actually fast motion. So if I wanted, you know, everyone to be running around at supersonic speeds, I'd set it to 24. Now, if I set it to 12, everyone would be moving in slow motion. So, you know, we're going to be filming at 16 frames per second, so it might look a little off, but that's technically where you're supposed to be at. Yesterday, I did use this camera for the very first time, and it was really cool. The sound of it makes a little click, click, click sounds, and it's cool. I got it from a really good antique store. I talked to the people that run the store, and they said that it is working, and from everything that I've done to it so far, I've thoroughly cleaned it out. It actually had the original, there's a light meter inside this thing, because it's not just manual exposure, it has an auto exposure feature, which is really cool because I'm definitely going to need that. And the light meter, of course, didn't work. That was one of the things that didn't work. Actually, I think the only thing in the camera that didn't work. And it actually had the original battery in it from the 1960s or whenever it was put in last. So that was kind of cool. I did get a new battery for it. I mean, I know how to expose this stuff properly. There's actually a light meter app that you can get that shows you, you know, what you need to set your stuff at, which actually you can set, if I can get this correct, you actually set all of that stuff here. And it's kind of weird. It's not ISO, it's ASA, which is basically the same thing as ISO. But yeah, this is gonna be such a cool camera. I really cannot wait to use this. I do plan on taking it out for a test tomorrow, and I might stop at a cemetery just to see how it looks. I know black and white might give it like a really, you know, cool Southern Gothic look to the project. But I'm honestly excited to use it in color too, especially to see how it flows with our documentary footage, which I know typically, like for the Roundhouse, we had, you know, atmospheric shots of the location. Most documentaries you see, it opens up with, you know, a wide shot of the building, something scary happening, and then a hallway. And that's kind of what I'm planning on using this for, because I think it's very important from a filmmaking perspective to set the tone of your film, you know, within the first few seconds. So that's, you know, setting up the vibe of the location, the creepiness, showing off some of the evidence you got, some of the scariest moments, and it's just all that stuff to hook people in. And I think, you know, it could be seen as a gimmick. I can see where people would say, hey, you know, that's just a gimmick, that doesn't really add anything. And yeah, you know, I can see where you're coming from, but I honestly think it's just cool. It's also gonna be interesting because I've tried to mimic the look of 8mm and 35mm with Adobe Premiere Pro, which is the editing software that I use. And now that I have an actual 8mm camera, I want to see how close that I, you know, have come or can come to replicating that look. So that's gonna be a fun little challenge for me. I am actually looking for more film. There's a lot that you can find on eBay, mainly expired Kodachrome, which you can't develop Kodachrome in color anymore, which is what it's designed to be, but you can. There's some places that I've seen that will expose it as black and white negative. And so that's something I'm looking into getting. So if you've got old film laying around, something like that, you know, hit us up. Might be interested in checking it out. But from Fife Paranormal, I'm Jake, and I hope you all have a great day.